The summer of idleness. The bright summer sun bathed the meadow in golden light, illuminating the vibrant flowers and the tall blades of grass that swayed in the gentle breeze. Among the bustling creatures of the meadow, there was a small colony of ants, tirelessly at work. They moved in organized lines, carrying seeds, grains, and leaves back to their hill, preparing for the colder months ahead. Leading them was Alba, a diligent and wise ant who understood the value of hard work and preparation. One day, as the ants marched through the meadow with their loads, they passed by a lively grasshopper named Grayson. Unlike the ants, Grayson believed that summer was meant for relaxation and enjoyment. He lounged on a soft patch of grass, strumming his tiny fiddle, filling the air with cheerful melodies. "Alba!" Grayson called out as she passed. "Why do you ants work so hard? The sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, and the world is full of music. Come, join me!" Alba paused and looked at Grayson. "We work now so that we can survive when winter comes," she explained. "The seasons change, and food will be scarce. You should prepare, too." Grayson laughed, his antennae twitching. "Winter? That's months away. There's plenty of time to worry about that later. For now, I'll enjoy the sunshine." Alba sighed but didn't argue further. She knew that words alone wouldn't change Grayson's ways. As she continued on her way, Grayson resumed his carefree playing, the sound of his fiddle trailing behind her. Act 2, The Warning Signs. Weeks passed, and summer began to wane. The meadow's once lush flowers started to wither, and the air grew cooler. The ants had amassed a vast stockpile of food, their hill brimming with enough supplies to last through the harshest of winters. Alba felt a sense of pride as she inspected their stores, knowing that her colony would be safe. Grayson, however, had not changed his ways. He spent his days basking in the sun, playing his fiddle, and feasting on whatever scraps he could find. When Alba saw him one afternoon, she decided to try once more to persuade him. "Grayson," she said, "the days are getting shorter, and the air is growing colder. Soon, food will be hard to find. You must start preparing." Grayson waved her off with a carefree grin. "There's still plenty of time. Besides, I'm clever and resourceful. When winter comes, I'll figure something out." But as the first frost blanketed the meadow, Grayson's confidence began to waver. The once abundant food had disappeared, and the meadow grew silent and barren. Grayson, realizing his mistake too late, searched desperately for food, but there was nothing to be found. His fiddle, once a source of joy, now lay forgotten as hunger gnawed at him. Act 3, A Lesson Learned. One frigid evening, as snow fell heavily across the meadow, Grayson found himself near the ants' hill. He was weak and shivering, his once vibrant green body dulled by hunger and cold. He thought of Alba and her words of caution, regretting that he had not listened. Gathering his strength, he approached the hill and called out, "Alba! It's me, Grayson. Please, I need help. I have no food and no shelter. I was wrong not to prepare." Inside the hill, Alba heard his plea. She looked around at her colony, which was warm and well-fed, thanks to their hard work. She knew that Grayson's situation was the result of his choices, but her kind heart would not allow her to turn him away. She emerged from the hill and looked at the shivering grasshopper. "Grayson," she said, "we worked tirelessly all summer to prepare for this. You laughed at us and wasted your time. But even so, we cannot let you suffer." Alba invited Grayson inside and shared a small portion of their food with him. Grayson was overwhelmed with gratitude and vowed to change his ways. When spring arrived, the meadow came alive once more. Grayson kept his promise, working alongside the ants to gather food and prepare for the next winter. He found joy not just in music but also in the satisfaction of a job well done. Years later, Grayson would tell his story to the younger creatures of the meadow, using his fiddle to sing of the importance of hard work and preparation. The ants, too, became a symbol of resilience and diligence, their hills standing tall as a testament to their efforts. Moral: the story of the ant and the lazy grasshopper reminds us that hard work and preparation are essential for overcoming life's challenges. While it's important to enjoy the present, we must also plan for the future, ensuring that we are ready for whatever lies ahead. Act 1. The Summer of Idleness. The meadows stretched far and wide, teeming with life. Birds flitted between trees, butterflies danced over colorful flowers, and the warm sun kissed the earth. This idyllic scene was home to many creatures, including the hard-working ants and a carefree grasshopper named Grayson. Grayson loved the summer. He spent his days hopping from one patch of grass to another, playing his fiddle, and singing tunes that echoed across the meadow. His music was a joy to hear, and many creatures would stop to listen. In contrast, the ants were always busy. Led by their wise leader, Alba, the ants moved in long, orderly lines, carrying food back to their hill. Alba was respected not just for her leadership but also for her foresight. She often reminded her colony of the harsh winters they had endured in the past and the importance of preparation. Grayson, on the other hand, found the ants' diligence amusing. One afternoon, as the ants marched by with grains of wheat, Grayson called out to Alba, "Why work so hard when there's so much fun to be had? The sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, and the world is alive with music." Alba paused, balancing a grain of wheat on her back. "Grayson, we work hard now so we won't suffer later. Winter may seem far away, but it always comes." Grayson laughed, leaning on his fiddle. "Winter's a long way off. I'll enjoy myself now and worry about that later." Alba shook her head and continued on her way. She had seen creatures like Grayson before, those who lived only for the moment, only to regret their choices when the seasons changed. Act 2. The Warning Signs. Subplot 1. The Newcomer. As summer progressed, a new resident arrived in the meadow, a young and ambitious cricket named Tilly. Tilly had heard tales of the meadow's beauty and its hard-working ants, and she wanted to build a life there. Unlike Grayson, Tilly admired the ants' discipline and sought to learn from them. One day, she approached Alba as the ants were gathering seeds. "Alba, may I join you? I want to prepare for winter too." Alba welcomed Tilly warmly. "Of course. You're wise to start preparing early." Grayson, who had overheard their conversation, couldn't help but comment. "Tilly, don't waste your time working so hard. There's plenty of food for everyone, and the summer's not over." But Tilly ignored him and joined the ants, learning their ways and contributing to their stores. Grayson found her seriousness baffling but was too engrossed in his own pleasures to think much of it. Subplot 2. Grayson's Carefree Adventures. Grayson's summer wasn't without its share of mischief. He loved exploring the meadow and befriending its inhabitants. He'd often visit the bees, playfully dodging their hives, or join the frogs by the pond, leading them in raucous sing-alongs. One memorable afternoon, Grayson stumbled upon a hidden grove filled with wild berries. "A feast fit for a king," he declared, gorging himself until he could eat no more. He returned to the meadow boasting about his find but refused to share its location. "There's enough for me to enjoy all summer," he thought, never considering that the berries would soon wither away. The first frost. By late autumn, the meadow began to change. The once vibrant flowers had faded, and the tall grasses were dry and brittle. The ants worked tirelessly, making their final preparations before sealing their hill for the winter. Tilly, now a trusted member of the colony, helped carry the last of the supplies. Grayson, however, was unprepared. The berry grove he had relied on was now barren, and the crisp air signaled the arrival of winter. For the first time, he felt a twinge of worry. "Maybe I should have listened to Alba," he thought, but his pride wouldn't let him admit it. Act 3. A Lesson Learned. Grayson's Struggles. As winter set in, the meadow was transformed into a desolate, snow-covered landscape. Food was scarce, and the once lively creatures had either migrated or taken shelter. Grayson, cold and hungry, wandered aimlessly, searching for anything to eat. One night, he stumbled upon the ants' hill. The faint glow of warmth emanated from within, and the sound of laughter and music reached his ears. Desperate, Grayson knocked on the entrance. "Who's there?" came Alba's voice. "It's me, Grayson," he replied weakly. "I have no food, no shelter. Please help me." Alba emerged, her expression stern but compassionate. Grayson, you mocked our hard work and wasted your summer. Why should we share what we've worked so hard to gather? Grayson hung his head. I was wrong. I see that now. Please, I'll do anything to make up for my mistake. Alba considered his plea and decided to give him a chance. You may stay, but you must help us with the chores inside the hill. Hard work is the price of survival. Grayson eagerly agreed. Subplot 3: Redemption and Growth. Over the next few weeks, Grayson worked alongside the ants. He helped repair tunnels, organize food stores, and even learned to appreciate their discipline. Though the work was tiring, he found a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. He also formed a bond with Tilly, who encouraged him to keep trying. It's never too late to change, she told him one evening as they worked side by side. Grayson, inspired by her words, vowed to live differently from then on. Spring renewal. When spring finally arrived, Grayson emerged from the hill a changed grasshopper. He thanked Alba and the ants for their kindness, and promised to repay them by working hard in the meadow. True to his word, he spent the entire summer gathering food and helping others prepare for the coming winter. Grayson's transformation inspired the other creatures in the meadow, many of whom had once shared his carefree attitude. Even Alba admitted she was proud of him. Conclusion and moral. By the time the next winter arrived, Grayson was as prepared as the ants. He had learned that while music and relaxation were important, they could not replace the value of hard work and preparation. The story of Grayson and the ants became a tale told throughout the meadow, a reminder that hard work pays off and that it's never too late to change for the better. The story takes place in a prosperous kingdom, nestled between rolling hills and vast forests. The castle sits atop a hill, offering a stunning view of the village below. The village is full of hardworking people who rely on agriculture, crafting, and trade. The palace, though magnificent, is a place of splendor and authority. People admire the prince from afar, but only a few have interacted with him closely. Key characters: Prince Adrian, a young, kind-hearted prince, known for his generosity and good nature. Though wealthy and powerful, he despises injustice and often takes time to help others. He is more comfortable with the common folk than with the nobility, and he always seeks ways to improve the lives of those around him. Lucas, a poor, struggling man from the village. He has fallen on hard times due to illness, and is unable to care for his sick mother. Though poor, Lucas is hardworking and kind but often overlooked by those in power. Queen Amelia, Prince Adrian's mother, who rules alongside her son. While she is just, she is more cautious and diplomatic, preferring to avoid risks and maintain the stability of the kingdom. King Aldric, Adrian's father, a wise and fair ruler who is loved by his people but has a more rigid view of how leadership should be carried out. Villagers, a variety of secondary characters who populate the kingdom, showing a cross-section of the working class. 2. Establish the conflict, inciting incident. Opening scene. The kingdom is enjoying a time of peace and prosperity. However, despite the general wealth, there are still pockets of poverty in the village. One such area is a small alley near the outskirts of the village, where Lucas and his sick mother live. They are struggling to get by, and Lucas works multiple jobs as a carpenter, trying to keep his family afloat. The call for help. One day, as the prince walks through the village in disguise, to experience life like the common people, he overhears Lucas talking to his friends. Lucas is upset, telling them about his mother's worsening illness and his inability to pay for medicine or treatment. His words are laced with frustration but not anger. He's resigned to his fate. The prince, though, is moved by Lucas' situation. 3. The prince's good deed, first act of kindness. Prince's disguise. Prince Adrian, curious about Lucas' plight, decides to follow him for a while. He observes Lucas working tirelessly at his carpentry job, and how he struggles to buy food and medicine for his mother. Adrian realizes the disparity between the wealth in the castle and the struggles of people like Lucas. The encounter. One evening, after Lucas has worked all day, he sits in the alley exhausted. He hears a knock at his door, and opens it to find a man holding a bag of gold coins. Prince Adrian. I've heard of your troubles, and I wanted to help. These coins should help pay for your mother's treatment and your debts. Lucas, who are you? I cannot accept charity from a stranger. Prince Adrian, I'm not a stranger, my friend. I am someone who believes in kindness, and I know that sometimes help can make all the difference. Lucas is shocked but insists that he cannot take money from someone he does not know, no matter how desperate his situation. Prince Adrian, if you can't accept it for yourself, then accept it for your mother's sake. The world is full of opportunities to give and receive. Kindness has its own rewards. Lucas's reaction. Lucas is hesitant, but after seeing how the prince genuinely wants to help, he finally accepts. With a heart full of gratitude, he promises to pay it forward when he is able. 4. Prince Adrian's inner conflict. The prince's doubts. After the encounter, Prince Adrian returns to the castle, feeling conflicted. His parents and the royal advisors often speak of policies and strategies that focus on maintaining the kingdom's power and wealth. Adrian, however, feels that there is more to being a ruler than simply managing wealth. He believes that kindness and empathy should be at the core of his decisions, but he fears the consequences of his idealism. Queen Emilia. Adrian, you cannot go around giving money to everyone who asks for it. A ruler must be wise, not overly generous. King Aldrich. Your compassion is admirable, my son, but remember that there are rules in place to keep the kingdom strong. Generosity, when misdirected, can lead to disaster. Adrian's resolve. Despite his parents' warnings, Prince Adrian resolves to continue helping those in need. He believes that his kindness will, in the long run, bring more prosperity and happiness to the kingdom than simply focusing on wealth and power. However, he knows that the road ahead may not be easy. 5. Preparing for a larger decision, cliffhanger to Act 2. The royal announcement. A new problem arises in the kingdom. A neighboring kingdom has been experiencing famine, and the villagers from that kingdom are arriving at the gates of the castle, seeking food and shelter. The kingdom is already strained, and the royal advisors urge King Aldrich to turn them away. Advisor. Your Majesty, if we open our gates to these people, we may risk our own food supply. We must prioritize the welfare of our citizens first. Prince Adrian's dilemma. Prince Adrian sees the plight of the starving villagers and realizes that this is his chance to make a true difference. He believes that kindness must come before fear, but he is faced with a difficult decision. Should he follow the advice of his parents and advisors, or should he act according to his beliefs? Prince Adrian. We cannot turn these people away. We must help them, no matter the cost. Cliffhanger. As the episode ends, the prince must confront the issue head-on. Will he be able to convince his parents and the advisors to act with compassion, or will he be forced to choose between his kindness and the kingdom's stability? End of Act 1. Summary. Act 1 sets up the central conflict. Prince Adrian is a kind-hearted ruler who wishes to prioritize kindness, but he is torn between his ideals and the practical demands of ruling. His first act of kindness towards Lucas sets the stage for larger challenges ahead. The crisis deepens. The villagers arrive at the castle gates. As news spreads that people from the neighboring kingdom are approaching the castle seeking refuge, the tension in the royal court rises. The royal advisors push King Aldrich to close the gates, fearing that allowing too many people in would deplete the kingdom's resources. Advisor. Sire, we must protect our own people first. We cannot risk sharing our food with outsiders. King Aldrich. The advisors are right, Adrian. We've worked hard to build this kingdom. If we open our gates to everyone, we'll be vulnerable. Prince Adrian's defiance. Prince Adrian, still determined to follow his beliefs, proposes a bold solution. Instead of refusing entry, he suggests a plan to share what the kingdom has and find ways to help the neighboring kingdom. His idea is to provide food and aid, even if it means taxing the wealthiest citizens to contribute more. Prince Adrian. If we can find a way to redistribute some of our resources and gather the support of the people, we can offer refuge to those in need. Advisor. You want to burden the kingdom's wealthiest families, Prince? How do you expect them to accept such a proposal? Prince Adrian. This is not about burden, it's about kindness. A kingdom built on generosity will thrive, not just survive. The king's reluctance. King Aldrich, though wise, remains unconvinced. He insists that they cannot afford to show weakness and must prioritize the kingdom's security over charity. He worries that the people of the kingdom might question the prince's leadership if things go wrong. King Aldrich. Adrian, we cannot sacrifice our future for short-term kindness. The kingdom is already facing challenges. We must be careful. 2. The first signs of division. The prince's plan faces opposition. Despite his father's opposition, Prince Adrian goes ahead with his plan. He organizes a royal assembly where he addresses the kingdom's wealthiest families, explaining the importance of generosity and the need for them to contribute to help the refugees. Prince Adrian. The people of the neighboring kingdom have lost everything: homes, food, and family members. If we can help them, it will show the world that our strength lies not in our wealth, but in our humanity. Resistance from the nobility. Many of the kingdom's wealthiest and most powerful families refuse to contribute. They argue that it is not their responsibility to help those from another kingdom, and they fear that the refugees will take away what little resources they have left. The nobles begin to murmur about the prince's poor judgment, and some even question whether his kindness is making him weak. Noble 1. This is not the prince I know. How can we risk everything for people we don't even know? Noble 2. I fear that Adrian is too naive. We should not let this happen. Prince Adrian's resolve. Despite the resistance, Adrian refuses to back down. He tells the villagers that if the nobility will not contribute, the kingdom will find other ways to help. He sets up community kitchens and organizes a volunteer army to distribute food to the refugees. His personal wealth and reputation start to take a hit, but his compassion does not waver. Prince Adrian. If the nobles will not help, then I will. This is my kingdom too, and I will not stand by while people suffer. 3. A test of kindness, the struggling refugees. The refugees' arrival. The refugees arrive in waves, weak and starving. The sight of them shocks the villagers, but many are moved by the prince's resolve and begin to help. Prince Adrian himself serves food, listens to the refugees' stories, and comforts the children. Refugee mother. Thank you, kind prince. You've saved my children. We had no hope left. Prince Adrian. It is not I who have saved you, but the kindness of the kingdom. We all must stand together in times of need. The strain on the kingdom. As the days pass, the kingdom begins to feel the strain. The food supplies are dwindling faster than expected, and people begin to complain. The poorer villagers start to worry that their own needs will be overlooked in favor of the refugees. The nobility's resentment grows, and a small group of nobles starts to plot against the prince, believing his actions are endangering the kingdom. Villager 1. The prince has given away too much. What will we have left? We must look after ourselves first. Villager 2. I heard that the nobles are planning to stop him. They think he's gone too far. The struggle within. Prince Adrian feels the weight of his decision. Despite his good intentions, he begins to question whether he made the right choice. He wonders if he has sacrificed too much in the name of kindness, and whether the kingdom will ever recover from the toll of his actions. 4. The turning point, the prince's heartfelt speech. A kingdom divided. As tensions escalate, Prince Adrian decides to address the entire kingdom. He gathers the people, refugees, villagers, and nobles alike, in the castle courtyard. Standing before them, Adrian speaks from the heart. Prince Adrian. I know many of you are struggling. I understand your fears. But I also know that kindness is what defines us as people. If we only look after ourselves and turn our backs on others, we will lose the very thing that makes us strong, our humanity. I believe in a kingdom where we help each other, no matter our station in life. Please, let us stand together, for we are stronger as one. The kingdom's response. Adrian's speech resonates deeply with many of the people, and slowly, even some of the nobles begin to change their hearts. A handful of wealthier families agree to contribute, and others offer aid in different ways, be it through labor or organizing supplies. The kingdom starts to recover, and the refugees are gradually integrated into the community. A spark of unity. As the prince's kindness spreads, the people begin to see the true value of what he has done. They no longer view kindness as a weakness but as a strength that binds them together. Even the nobles begin to appreciate the deeper meaning of generosity and the ripple effect it can have on a community. 5. The moral dilemma resolved. King Aldric's acknowledgement. Seeing the success of his son's plan and the restoration of unity, King Aldric begins to realize that Adrian's approach was not just idealistic, but wise. He acknowledges that kindness, in the long run, builds a stronger and more united kingdom than wealth or power alone. King Aldric. Adrian, I see now that your kindness has not only helped our people, but it has brought us closer together as a kingdom. I misjudged your vision. You were right all along. A kingdom transformed. As the kingdom heals, the refugees slowly become a part of the kingdom, offering their skills and labor. The kingdom grows more prosperous and united, not through wealth, but through the shared understanding that kindness and compassion can lead to lasting prosperity. Cliffhanger to Act 3. As Act 2 comes to a close, Prince Adrian and the kingdom are on the path to healing. The final test will be to see how this newfound unity can overcome the challenges ahead. Can kindness continue to thrive, or will external threats jeopardize everything they have built? The kingdom faces an external threat. The arrival of the enemy army. Just as the kingdom begins to recover, a great external threat emerges. An enemy kingdom, long envious of the wealth and prosperity of King Aldric's land, has amassed an army and marches toward the kingdom's borders. This sudden threat puts the kingdom's fragile peace in jeopardy. General of the enemy army. Prepare for battle, my king. The land you've prospered from shall now belong to us. King Aldric's reaction. King Aldric, though wary and wise, begins to prepare for war. He gathers his army, rallying the nobles and the villagers to defend the kingdom. Despite the internal progress, he is once again consumed by the idea of using force to protect the kingdom's wealth and power. King Aldric. We will defend our kingdom with everything we have. We will not let them take what we have worked so hard to build. Prince Adrian's dilemma. Prince Adrian, now seeing the situation differently, feels torn. He knows the kingdom must defend itself, but he questions whether fighting is truly the answer. His heart tells him that the path of kindness could be the key to resolving the crisis, but the threat of war looms large. Adrian fears that the violence could undo all the progress they've made in the past months. Prince Adrian to himself. There must be another way. Violence cannot be the only answer. We have built something strong, not just in walls and armies, but in trust and kindness. Can this save us? 2. The test of kindness, a bold proposal. The prince's bold proposal to the enemy king. Prince Adrian goes to his father, King Aldric, with an audacious plan. Rather than preparing for war, he suggests attempting to negotiate peace with the enemy kingdom. Adrian proposes that they offer a gesture of goodwill, sharing their resources and offering to help the enemy kingdom in exchange for peace. Prince Adrian. Father, what if we offered peace through kindness instead of war? What if we extend our hand to them as we did with the refugees? We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. King Aldric. You are naive, Adrian. The enemy is here to take what is ours. Kindness is no match for an army. We must defend our land. Adrian's persistence. Adrian continues to press the idea, believing that the power of kindness can break the cycle of hatred. Finally, with a heavy heart, King Aldric reluctantly agrees to let his son try. The king warns Adrian that if this plan fails, the kingdom will have no choice but to go to war. King Aldric. If this fails, Adrian, the bloodshed will be on your hands. Prince Adrian. I will bear that burden if it means there's even a chance for peace. 3. The peace negotiation, an unexpected outcome. Adrian meets the enemy king. Prince Adrian approaches the enemy kingdom's king with an open heart. When he arrives at the enemy camp, he is greeted with suspicion and hostility, but Adrian remains calm. He offers food, supplies, and a chance for collaboration, emphasizing that both kingdoms are stronger together, rather than in conflict. Prince Adrian. I understand your kingdom's suffering. We are not so different. Our people deserve peace. Let us work together rather than destroy each other. Enemy king, you are offering to share your wealth with us? After all we've done to your kingdom? Why should I trust you? Prince Adrian, because kindness is stronger than hatred. I believe that helping each other is the only way to thrive. A turning point. As the negotiation progresses, the enemy king, initially skeptical, begins to see Adrian's sincerity. Over time, he realizes that a war would lead to needless destruction and suffering for both sides. The enemy king, moved by Adrian's unwavering belief in kindness, finally agrees to a peace treaty, promising to cease the invasion in exchange for trade and mutual aid. Enemy king, you have shown me a better way, Prince. Let us build a future together, without war. A surprise from the enemy. The enemy king offers a token of goodwill in return, his kingdom's resources and skilled workers to help rebuild the damaged areas of King Aldric's land. He also sends his own soldiers to assist in the reconstruction, proving that kindness truly can bridge the greatest divides. 4. The kingdom's transformation. A kingdom united. With the peace treaty in place, the people of both kingdoms begin to heal and work together. Prince Adrian's vision becomes reality. The two kingdoms forge a new alliance based on trust, respect, and mutual aid. Adrian's reputation as a wise leader grows, and he earns the admiration of not only his own people but also those from the neighboring land. King Aldric's change of heart. King Aldric, witnessing the positive transformation and realizing that his son was right all along, acknowledges that kindness was indeed the key to saving the kingdom. He offers a public apology to Prince Adrian for doubting his approach and recognizes that true leadership lies in compassion. King Aldric, you were right, Adrian. Kindness is the foundation of a strong kingdom. Your wisdom has saved us all. The prince's legacy. As time passes, Prince Adrian's philosophy becomes the guiding principle of the kingdom. The people remember his actions, and the story of his kindness is passed down through generations. The once divided kingdom is now united and thriving, not through power or wealth, but through the generosity and compassion that Adrian showed. 5. The moral: kindness always wins. The final lesson. The story closes with Prince Adrian standing before his people, reflecting on the journey that led him here. His message is clear: kindness, when practiced with sincerity and resolve, is the greatest strength a kingdom, indeed, a person, can possess. Prince Adrian, it is not the wealth we accumulate, nor the armies we command, but the kindness we offer that determines the strength of our kingdom. Let us continue to build with love and compassion, for that is what will last beyond the ages. The kingdom's prosperity. The kingdom continues to flourish, not because of its gold or weapons, but because it is united in kindness. The story concludes with a view of the kingdom, now a beacon of peace and prosperity for all who seek refuge and friendship. End of Act 3. Moral of the story: kindness always wins. By choosing the path of compassion, Prince Adrian not only saved his kingdom but also showed that true strength comes from generosity, understanding, and helping others. His example serves as a lasting reminder that kindness is the most powerful force in the world. The Kingdom of Veloria and King Aldric. The Kingdom of Veloria is described in detail: its beautiful landscapes, lush fields, towering castles, and bustling markets. This setting introduces the prosperity that the kingdom is known for, but also hints at underlying challenges, such as inequality between the wealthy and the poor. The king's leadership. King Aldric's leadership is shown to be both authoritative and loving. His love for his people is genuine, but his methods are often centered around maintaining control and protecting the kingdom's wealth. We see him interacting with advisors, holding court, and making decisions that prioritize military strength and economic prosperity. The prince's role. Prince Adrian, the young heir to the throne, is shown to be sensitive, thoughtful, and inquisitive. He is often found walking among the people, speaking with farmers, merchants, and the poor, gaining insight into their lives. His relationship with his father is one of respect, but there is a growing distance due to their differing views on leadership. 2. The poor man's encounter with the prince. The struggling farmer. The first major scene unfolds with a poor farmer named Tomas, whose crops are failing. Tomas is devastated, as he cannot feed his family or pay his taxes. He takes a risk and goes to the palace to ask King Aldrich for help. This shows the harsh reality of the kingdom's lower class and sets the stage for Prince Adrian's moral dilemma. The prince's decision to help. Prince Adrian overhears Tomas's plight as he enters the court. He is moved by Tomas's desperation, but is aware of his father's strict policies. The prince secretly offers Tomas money from his personal savings, a gesture that goes against his father's teachings about self-reliance. The king's displeasure. King Aldrich finds out about Adrian's act of generosity. His reaction is stern, reminding Adrian that charity weakens the kingdom's economy and that only the strong should survive. The tension between the father and son deepens, as Adrian believes kindness is the answer, while his father insists on the value of strict policies. ACT 2. The conflict. 3. The kingdom faces a crisis. The growing inequality. As the days go on, the disparity between the rich and poor becomes more evident. The nobles live in lavish homes, while the common folk struggle to feed their families. Prince Adrian, who has spent time with the villagers, begins to understand the depth of the problem. He sees how the poor are being exploited by taxes and unfair laws, but he's unsure of how to change it. Prince Adrian's public gesture. The prince decides to take matters into his own hands. He invites the poor to the palace for a grand feast, where he shares food and wealth with them. He speaks of a kingdom where all people, regardless of their status, are treated equally. His actions spark outrage among the nobles and alarm in his father. Prince Adrian to the people. This is your kingdom, as much as it is mine. Let us build a future where no one goes hungry and no one is left behind. Nobleman to the king. Your son is a fool. His actions will tear the kingdom apart. 4. The prince's confrontation with King Aldrich. The growing tension. King Aldrich summons Prince Adrian to the throne room, furious over his actions. He accuses Adrian of undermining the kingdom's foundations and warns him of the consequences of his kindness. This moment is a turning point in their relationship, as the king tells his son that he is too idealistic and doesn't understand the realities of ruling. King Aldrich. You are a dreamer, Adrian! Your kindness will only bring ruin to us. The world respects power, not pity. Adrian's rebellion. Prince Adrian, though respectful of his father, begins to question everything he has been taught. The moral conflict grows as he realizes that his father's methods have only deepened the divide between the rich and poor. He feels torn between his duty as a prince and his belief in kindness as the path to true leadership. 5. The refugee crisis and the prince's moment of clarity. A crisis in the kingdom. One winter, a large group of refugees fleeing war-torn lands arrive at the borders of Veloria. They are destitute and starving. King Aldrich, ever the pragmatist, orders the gates to be closed and the refugees to be turned away, fearing they will overwhelm the kingdom's resources. Prince Adrian's bold action. Prince Adrian defies his father's orders and secretly leads a group of workers and soldiers to provide food, shelter, and medical care for the refugees. His decision to offer kindness and compassion during such a time of crisis begins to win the hearts of the people. As they see Adrian's selflessness, they begin to question the king's approach to leadership. Prince Adrian to the refugees. You are not alone. This kingdom was built on the principle of helping one another. We will care for you. ACT 3. Resolution. 6. The arrival of the enemy army. The threat of war. A neighboring kingdom, envious of Veloria's wealth and power, begins to threaten war. Their king, King Roderick, sends word that he will invade unless Veloria surrenders its land and riches. The kingdom is thrust into crisis once again, and King Aldrich, determined to protect his people, prepares for battle. Adrian's plan for peace. Prince Adrian, seeing the path of war as a futile and destructive option, suggests a different approach. He proposes that they try to negotiate peace with the enemy king, offering a trade agreement and help to improve their resources. He believes that kindness can prevent bloodshed. Prince Adrian. War will destroy both our kingdoms. Let us show them that there is another way. King Aldrich's reluctance. At first, King Aldrich refuses, thinking that Adrian's approach is naive. However, as the situation grows more dire and the enemy army gets closer, he reluctantly agrees to let Adrian lead the peace talks. The peace negotiation. The meeting with King Roderick. Prince Adrian meets King Roderick, a proud and stubborn monarch. At first, King Roderick is skeptical of Adrian's offer for peace. He sees Veloria's wealth as a prize and wants it for his own kingdom. However, Adrian remains calm and speaks of the shared hardships that both kingdoms face, offering to help with trade, resources, and knowledge. Prince Adrian, you and I are not so different. We both want what's best for our people. Let us find a way to work together rather than destroy each other. A turning point. King Roderick, who initially scoffs at Adrian's kindness, begins to understand the wisdom behind his words. He sees the sincerity in Adrian's offer and, after much deliberation, agrees to a treaty. The two kingdoms will work together, exchanging resources and building alliances to ensure the prosperity of both lands. King Roderick, you have shown me a better way, Prince Adrian. Let us lay down our weapons and build something lasting together. 8. The kingdom's transformation. The aftermath of peace. The treaty is signed, and both kingdoms begin working together. The refugees are integrated into society, and the people of Veloria see the fruits of Adrian's kindness and generosity. The economy begins to grow as trade flourishes, and the people from both kingdoms work side by side. King Aldrich's change of heart. King Aldrich, witnessing the success of his son's approach, publicly acknowledges Adrian's wisdom. He realizes that kindness has not weakened the kingdom, but strengthened it. In a public address, he expresses his pride in his son and admits that kindness is a far greater strength than power or wealth. King Aldrich, Adrian, I was wrong. You have shown me what true leadership means. Kindness, not power, is what makes a kingdom great. 9. The legacy of Prince Adrian. A lasting legacy. Prince Adrian's legacy lives on long after his reign. The kingdom of Veloria becomes known across the land for its generosity and peace. Leaders from neighboring kingdoms come to Veloria to learn from its example. The people remember Adrian not just for his kindness but for the way he changed the kingdom for the better. The moral. The story concludes with a reflection on the true strength of kindness. Prince Adrian's unwavering belief and compassion not only saved the kingdom, but also set an example for generations to come. His life is a reminder that kindness is the most powerful force in the world. Prince Adrian, to his people. In a world that often values power and wealth, remember this: kindness always wins. It is the foundation of a just and prosperous kingdom. The Kingdom of Veloria and King Aldrich. The kingdom's wealth and beauty. The Kingdom of Veloria is nestled between vast mountain ranges and expansive forests. The golden spires of the palace gleam in the sunlight, and the streets of the city are lined with marble statues, lush gardens, and grandiose marketplaces. The people live well, but there is an air of tension among them. They respect the king's rule but know that beneath the kingdom's surface of prosperity, there is inequality. The rich live in palatial estates, while the poor toil under heavy taxes, barely scraping by. The contrast between father and son. King Aldrich's leadership is sharp and often cold. He believes that the kingdom's strength lies in its ability to hold control over its subjects. His advisors often speak of building walls around the kingdom, fortifying the borders, and hoarding resources to maintain power. Adrian, however, believes that true strength lies in relationships with others. His formative years spent in the marketplace and among common folk have given him an understanding of what truly matters: the well-being of his people. This sets the stage for the conflict between father and son, highlighting the dichotomy between authoritarian rule and empathetic leadership. 2. Prince Adrian's secret acts of kindness. The prince among the people. Prince Adrian, despite his royal status, frequently sneaks away from the palace in disguise. He visits the farms and markets, speaking with villagers, learning about their struggles, and helping when he can. One of his most cherished moments is when he helps a young orphan girl, giving her the last of the apples from his basket, though it leaves him hungry. These moments, though small, demonstrate Adrian's growing belief in empathy over power. The contrast with King Aldrich. King Aldrich remains unaware of his son's secret interactions. He believes that Adrian is simply being too soft-hearted, especially when the prince urges his father to ease the tax burden on the poor. The king dismisses these ideas, seeing them as dangerous distractions. Aldrich believes in discipline and self-sufficiency, while Adrian believes that a ruler should show mercy and kindness. 3. Tomas' struggle. The desperate farmer. Tomas is introduced as a hard-working farmer who is beloved in the village. He has a large family but struggles to provide for them due to poor harvests. One winter, his crops are decimated by an unexpected frost, and he cannot pay the high taxes imposed by the kingdom. Tomas's situation reflects the deeper societal issues, how the king's policies unintentionally harm those who are already vulnerable. Tomas' journey to the palace. Tomas, in desperation, decides to seek an audience with King Aldrich. As he walks through the grand halls of the palace, he is in awe of its opulence but feels an overwhelming sense of dread. The juxtaposition between the grandeur of the palace and the poverty outside becomes symbolic of the kingdom's imbalance. ACT 2. The conflict. 4. Tomas meets Prince Adrian. The prince's secret offer. Prince Adrian, while observing Tomas's plight, is moved. Instead of dismissing the farmer, he invites Tomas to a private meeting, away from the prying eyes of the royal court. Adrian listens intently to Tomas's story, asking questions, and offering his own ideas to help. Despite the risks, Adrian offers Tomas a sum of money from his own savings, along with a guarantee that his taxes will be lowered for the coming year. Tomas is overwhelmed with gratitude, but Adrian insists that Tomas must not speak of it to anyone. Prince Adrian, to Tomas. You have worked hard, and you deserve a chance. This will help you feed your family and rebuild. But remember, you're not alone. There are many who need help, just like you. Tomas' gratitude. Tomas leaves the palace, amazed by the prince's generosity. He returns to his farm with new hope, though he feels conflicted about keeping such a secret. Adrian's act of kindness spreads through the village, though Tomas does not tell anyone about the prince's involvement. 5. The tension between King Aldrich and Prince Adrian. The father's disappointment. King Aldrich soon hears rumors about Adrian's act of kindness. He summons his son to the throne room, furious. The king warns Adrian that his behavior is dangerous. He tells him that a king must not be swayed by sentimentality but must rule with authority. Aldrich's fear is that kindness will make them vulnerable to enemies both within and outside the kingdom. King Aldrich. You are being reckless, Adrian. This kingdom is not a playground for emotions. You will lead the people to ruin if you continue this way. Adrian's silent resolve. Prince Adrian, although deeply hurt by his father's words, refuses to give up on his ideals. He knows that the people need someone to fight for them. He realizes that he cannot simply stand by and watch as the poor continue to suffer. Adrian's internal conflict grows as he tries to find a way to balance his love for his people with the responsibility of being the next king. The prince's secret rebellion. The secret feasts. Prince Adrian, still determined to help those in need, organizes secret feasts for the poor, where food is distributed among the villagers. These acts, although done in secrecy, become increasingly bold, and Adrian's reputation as a man of the people grows. The common folk begin to speak of the generous prince, unaware that he is risking his life and position. A kingdom divided. The nobles and advisors grow increasingly concerned about Adrian's actions. They see his kindness as a sign of weakness and fear that it will lead to unrest. Some even begin to plot against him, believing that his compassion will undo the kingdom's hard-earned stability. 7. The refugee crisis and the ultimate test of kindness. The arrival of refugees. One winter, as the threat of war looms, a large group of refugees arrives at the borders of Veloria. They are fleeing from a neighboring kingdom, which has been ravaged by war. The refugees are sick, starving, and desperate, and they seek sanctuary in Veloria. The king's response. King Aldrich, fearing that the influx of refugees will overwhelm the kingdom's resources, orders the gates to be closed and the refugees to be turned away. His decision is rooted in a desire to protect the kingdom's own citizens, but it deeply troubles Prince Adrian. ACT 3, Resolution 8. The Prince's Bold Decision. Adrian's Dilemma. The situation is dire. The refugees are living in squalid conditions at the borders of the kingdom, and Prince Adrian cannot ignore their suffering. After a sleepless night, Adrian decides to take matters into his own hands. He defies his father's order and secretly arranges for food, clothing, and shelter for the refugees, knowing that if he's caught, it could cost him his title and place in the royal family. The kingdom's response. As Adrian's actions become public knowledge, the kingdom is divided. Some praise the prince for his bravery and compassion, while others, especially the nobles, are furious at what they see as his disregard for the kingdom's well-being. Despite the backlash, Adrian stands firm, believing that the kingdom's strength is built on the goodwill of its people. 9. The final test of kindness. The king's wrath. King Aldrich, upon learning of Adrian's disobedience, summons him to the throne room for a final confrontation. He accuses Adrian of endangering the kingdom's survival and betraying his royal duty. However, Adrian, though fearful, stands tall and speaks from his heart. He tells his father that leadership is not about power or fear, but about understanding and compassion. Prince Adrian. Father, this kingdom cannot thrive on fear. It is built on the trust and love of its people. We must protect them, not just with our armies, but with our hearts. A change of heart. Moved by his son's words, King Aldrich begins to see the wisdom in Adrian's approach. For the first time, he understands that true leadership is not about commanding from a throne but about connecting with people at every level. In a moment of clarity, he acknowledges Adrian's wisdom and agrees to let the refugees stay in Veloria. 10. A new era for Veloria. The treaty with King Roderick. As war with a neighboring kingdom seems imminent, Prince Adrian proposes a bold plan, not to fight, but to negotiate peace. He suggests offering trade deals and assistance to King Roderick in exchange for peace. After much negotiation, King Roderick agrees, impressed by Adrian's kindness and diplomatic skills. The kingdom's transformation. With peace secured and the refugees integrated into society, Veloria begins to thrive. The economy grows, and the people are united. The kingdom becomes known far and wide as a model of kindness and fairness. Prince Adrian's leadership becomes a shining example for other kingdoms, and his name is forever remembered. 11. The moral of the story. Kindness as the true strength. The story concludes with a reflection on the power of kindness. Prince Adrian's leadership shows that compassion and empathy are the true foundations of a prosperous and just society. His belief in kindness is what ultimately transforms not only the kingdom of Veloria but also the hearts of its people. Prince Adrian. Remember, kindness is not weakness. It is the greatest strength of all. Prince Adrian's secret visits to the market. Disguised in humility. Prince Adrian, though deeply aware of his royal obligations, finds solace in visiting the marketplace in disguise. With a simple cloak and a hood pulled low over his face, he blends in among the common folk. These visits, hidden from the prying eyes of the court, provide Adrian with a rare glimpse into the lives of the people he is destined to rule. Helping the elderly merchant. During one such visit, Adrian encounters an elderly merchant struggling to carry a heavy cart of produce. Without a second thought, Adrian rushes to help, lifting the load with ease. The merchant, overwhelmed with gratitude, insists that the prince take some of the goods as a token of thanks, but Adrian refuses. His pride in helping without being recognized becomes a subtle but telling part of his character development. Merchant gratefully. Your kindness is rare, young man. You remind me of a ruler who understands his people, not just his throne. Prince Adrian, smiling softly. It is kindness that binds us all together, old friend. A glimpse of future leadership. Through these secret interactions, Adrian learns the value of empathy, and the conversations he has with everyday citizens shape his growing belief that a ruler should be compassionate, not just authoritative. These small, seemingly insignificant acts set the tone for Adrian's evolution as a leader who connects with his people on a deeper level. 5. The kingdom's prosperity, at what cost? King Aldric's focus on wealth and security. King Aldric, despite his outward success in ruling Veloria, has grown increasingly obsessed with wealth and security. He has fortified the kingdom's borders, built great walls around the palace, and enacted policies that ensure the kingdom's coffers remain full. However, beneath these gilded walls, the people are beginning to feel the pressure of high taxes and strict regulations. The divide between the wealthy and the poor continues to widen, and discontent begins to simmer among the common folk. A glimpse of the palace's coldness. In contrast to Adrian's warmth, the palace feels like a cold, distant place. During a royal banquet, King Aldric sits on his grand throne, surveying his court with stern eyes. His advisors, dressed in the finest silks, speak of further tightening the kingdom's grip on trade and taxation. Yet, Adrian feels uneasy. He watches the faces of the common citizens in the lower courts, those who serve the royalty, and he notices their weary eyes. His growing discomfort with his father's methods intensifies. King Aldric, commanding, Veloria's strength lies in its wealth. We must protect it at all costs, even if it means making sacrifices. Prince Adrian, hesitantly, but father, what is the use of wealth if it cannot sustain the lives of our people? Should we not ensure their well-being too? The beginning of the rift. Adrian's disagreement with his father becomes more evident. While Aldric sees wealth as the cornerstone of power, Adrian believes that the true strength of Veloria lies in the unity and welfare of its people. This disagreement sets the stage for a larger conflict that will play out over the course of the story. 6. Tomas' struggle becomes personal. The hardships of the village. Tomas' story is one of many, but his struggle with the tax burden becomes a personal one for Adrian. Tomas is a dedicated farmer, but after a poor harvest, he finds himself unable to meet the kingdom's heavy tax demands. His children are hungry, and his wife is ill. The oppressive weight of the tax policies devastates his family, but he dares not speak against the king for fear of retribution. A community in crisis. Tomas represents not just one man but the collective struggle of the common folk. Throughout the village, other families are facing similar hardships. There is a palpable tension in the air, a silent cry for help. People are beginning to feel like pawns in the king's game, without the means to stand up for themselves. ACT 2, the conflict continued. 7. Prince Adrian's quiet resistance. The secret feasts and the bond with the people. Prince Adrian continues to arrange secret feasts for the hungry, with food provided from the royal kitchens and surplus from the palace's own reserves. These feasts, though illegal in the eyes of the court, become a symbol of hope for the poor. At night, Adrian wears the same simple cloak and serves food alongside the villagers, breaking bread with those he wishes to protect. Adrian's connection with Tomas. During one of these feasts, Tomas is invited, unaware that the prince is among them. He is astonished to see the young man helping serve, but Adrian's humility in this moment deepens Tomas's admiration for him. As Adrian helps Tomas carry food to his family, Tomas quietly says, "I don't know who you are, young man, but your heart is pure." Prince Adrian, gently, "A heart that cares for others is the greatest strength a ruler can possess. We are all in this together, Tomas." A kingdom divided. The secret acts of kindness become harder to conceal as word spreads among the people. Some villagers start to question where the food and supplies are coming from, while the nobles become suspicious. The tension grows in the court as some view Adrian's actions as a betrayal, while others begin to see the prince as a beacon of hope. 8. King Aldric's reaction. The king's growing fear. King Aldric learns of his son's actions and is furious. To him, Adrian's kindness is a dangerous weakness that could destabilize the kingdom. Aldric gathers his advisors, discussing ways to reprimand Adrian and restore order. He fears that if his son continues down this path, it will undermine the authority of the throne and diminish his control. A clash of ideals. In a tense confrontation, Aldric demands that Adrian cease his acts of charity. He accuses Adrian of undermining the very foundation of their rule and suggests that the prince's actions are misguided. Adrian, however, stands firm. He tells his father that kindness and compassion are not signs of weakness but of true strength. King Aldrich, angrily, "You cannot rule with emotions, Adrian. You must rule with strength and power." Prince Adrian, calmly, "A ruler who cares for his people, who listens to their struggles, that is the strongest ruler of all." 9. The ultimate test, the refugee crisis. The arrival of the refugees. A sudden influx of refugees from a neighboring kingdom ravaged by war arrives at Veloria's gates. Desperate for sanctuary, they beg for help. The kingdom is already stretched thin, and the refugees bring with them disease, famine, and fear. King Aldrich sees them as a threat to Veloria's stability, and immediately orders that the gates be closed, sending the refugees away. Prince Adrian's defiance. Adrian, torn by his father's decision, decides to act. He sneaks out of the palace and personally speaks with the refugees, offering them shelter and food. His acts of defiance risk everything: his position, his title, and even his relationship with his father. But Adrian knows that he cannot turn his back on those in need. Prince Adrian, to the refugees, "Veloria will not turn its back on you. I will help you, even if it means risking everything." Resolution continued. 10. The confrontation and the change of heart. King Aldrich's anger and reflection. When King Aldrich discovers Adrian's defiance, he is furious. He orders the prince to stand before him, demanding an explanation. But as Adrian speaks of mercy, compassion, and the need for kindness, the king begins to see the truth in his son's words. His heart, hardened by years of ruling with an iron fist, starts to soften. A father's regret. In a private moment, Aldrich admits his faults. He acknowledges that his fear of losing control has blinded him to the needs of the people. With a heavy heart, he realizes that his son's approach is not only right but essential for the survival of the kingdom. King Aldrich, softly, "Adrian, perhaps I have been wrong all this time. Maybe kindness truly is the answer." A unified kingdom. In a public proclamation, King Aldrich announces that the refugees will be allowed to stay, and the kingdom will provide for them. The people rejoice, and the nobles, though reluctant, understand that the winds of change have begun to blow through Veloria. 11. The moral of the story. Kindness as true power. The story concludes with Adrian ascending to the throne, not as a tyrant but as a ruler beloved by his people. He has proven that kindness and empathy are not signs of weakness but are the true sources of strength. Under his leadership, Veloria flourishes, not just in wealth, but in the happiness and well-being of its people. Prince Adrian, to his people, "A kingdom built on kindness will always stand strong. Let us remember that we are all part of one family." Prince Adrian's quiet life. Introduction of Prince Adrian and his kingdom. Prince Adrian lives in the prosperous kingdom of Veloria, a land known for its rich culture, vast fields, and beautiful landscapes. But despite his royal title, Adrian is not interested in the politics of the court or the constant intrigue that surrounds his father, King Aldrich. Instead, he enjoys the simple things in life, taking walks through the royal gardens, playing music, and helping the villagers. He often sneaks out of the palace in disguise to visit local markets, where he is well loved by the people for his kindness and humility. The problem in Veloria. One day, a mysterious old traveler arrives at Veloria's gates. He claims to be a historian from a forgotten kingdom. According to the old man, the kingdom of Lyra, a once thriving kingdom that lived in harmony with Veloria, has fallen into ruin. The fall of Lyra was linked to an ancient curse, one that even the greatest scholars and kings could not undo. The old man warns that Veloria might one day face the same fate unless something is done to stop it. Adrian's curiosity. Prince Adrian, intrigued by the traveler's story, begins to wonder if the curse of Lyra is more than just a myth. He feels a deep responsibility to not only protect his kingdom but also uncover the truth behind the fall of Lyra. Adrian's curiosity leads him to secretly search for any surviving artifacts or clues about Lyra's lost kingdom. His journey begins as a personal quest for knowledge, but he has no idea that it will eventually shape the future of Veloria. 2. The royal court and King Aldric's disbelief. King Aldric's opposition. King Aldric, though a wise and powerful ruler, is skeptical about the old man's story. He dismisses the warnings, confident that Veloria is strong enough to withstand any threat. He believes the old man is simply a deluded wanderer seeking attention. Adrian, however, feels a sense of foreboding and begins investigating the history of Lyra on his own, visiting old archives and consulting with scholars in secret. Prince Adrian's frustration. Adrian grows frustrated as his father ignores the warning signs. He feels a deep need to protect his kingdom, even if it means defying his father. One night, he overhears a conversation between the king and his advisors. They speak of how the kingdom's wealth and security are more important than any superstition. But Adrian knows that if Veloria is to survive, it must listen to the lessons of history, especially the lost kingdom of Lyra. 3. The mysterious map and the journey begins. The map and the call to action. While searching through an old library, Adrian stumbles upon a faded map that was said to be created by the last known king of Lyra. The map depicts a hidden temple deep in the mountains, an ancient site said to hold the key to lifting the curse that doomed Lyra. Adrian realizes that this is the answer he's been searching for. He decides to leave the palace and venture into the mountains alone to find the temple, determined to uncover the secrets of Lyra before it's too late. A secret departure. Adrian leaves a letter for his father, explaining his decision, but knowing that his father would likely disapprove, he decides to leave in secret. He dresses as a commoner and takes a small group of trusted servants to assist him on his journey. His path is filled with danger, but Adrian's resolve remains unwavering. His kindness and willingness to help others along the way will prove to be his greatest strengths. ACT 2. The conflict and the struggle. 4. The dangerous journey. The trek through the mountains. Adrian and his small group travel through treacherous terrain, encountering wild animals, harsh weather, and even bandits along the way. Throughout their journey, Adrian proves his bravery and leadership, always putting the needs of his companions before his own. His genuine kindness, even in the face of danger, earns him the loyalty and respect of his servants, who begin to see him not just as a prince, but as a true leader. The first challenge. Along the way, they come across an injured traveler named Elena, who is stranded after a rock slide. Despite the risks of delaying their journey, Adrian insists on helping her. Elena, a former scholar from Lyra, reveals that she had been searching for the lost kingdom as well. She shares her knowledge about Lyra's downfall. The kingdom's greed and the disregard for kindness had triggered the curse. Only through acts of genuine generosity and compassion could the curse be undone. A new ally. Elena joins the group, offering valuable insights into the history of Lyra and the ancient curse. She believes that Adrian is the key to breaking the curse because he embodies the qualities that Lyra's last ruler failed to nurture: humility, kindness, and generosity. 5. The ruins of Lyra. Discovering the lost kingdom. After weeks of travel, the group finally reaches the ruins of Lyra, a desolate place where nature has reclaimed what was once a thriving kingdom. The buildings are in ruins, and the land is barren. The temple from the map lies hidden beneath layers of moss and stone. As Adrian steps into the ruins, he feels a deep sense of loss and sorrow for a kingdom that was once full of life. The puzzle of the temple. The group enters the ancient temple, which holds the key to unlocking the curse. However, the temple is protected by riddles and trials, meant to test the worthiness of anyone who seeks the answers within. The tests are designed to assess one's character, not just their intellect or strength. Adrian must prove his generosity, courage, and wisdom to reach the inner sanctum where the truth of Lyra's curse lies. 6. The curse of Lyra revealed. The final trial. The final trial of the temple reveals that the curse of Lyra was not just a punishment for greed, but also a lesson about the importance of kindness and leadership. The curse can only be lifted by someone who is willing to give up their greatest possession for the greater good. Adrian realizes that in order to save his kingdom, he must make a tremendous sacrifice. The choice. The temple offers Adrian a chance to break the curse and restore the balance of the kingdom, but it requires him to give up his title as prince and his claim to the throne of Veloria. Adrian, filled with empathy and a sense of responsibility, makes the ultimate decision to sacrifice his royal status for the good of his people. The curse is broken, and the kingdom is restored to its former glory, not through Adrian's wealth or power, but through his selflessness and kindness. ACT 3. Resolution and the New Kingdom. 7. Returning to Veloria. Adrian's return. Adrian returns to Veloria, now a changed man. His journey has not only saved the kingdom, but has also revealed to him the true meaning of leadership. He is no longer just a prince, but a leader who understands the value of kindness and sacrifice. The people of Veloria welcome him back as a hero, though he is no longer the same person he once was. His humility and wisdom shine through. A new king, King Aldric, upon seeing his son's transformation, realizes the true strength of his son's character. He steps aside and announces that Adrian will take the throne, not by right of birth, but by the merit of his actions. Adrian becomes the new king of Veloria, and under his rule, the kingdom flourishes not through power or wealth, but through kindness, generosity, and the lessons of the past. The moral of the story: kindness restores what is lost. The story concludes with King Adrian ruling Veloria with compassion and wisdom, ensuring that his kingdom is built not just on riches, but on the well-being of its people. His story becomes a beacon of hope for future generations, reminding them that kindness, courage, and selflessness are the greatest strengths a ruler can possess. The discovery of the lost kingdom. 1. Prince Adrian's quiet life. Introduction of Prince Adrian and the Kingdom of Veloria. Prince Adrian, a young and idealistic ruler, lives in the peaceful kingdom of Veloria, known for its fertile fields, beautiful rivers, and abundance of crops. The kingdom thrives under the reign of his father, King Aldric, a stern and strategic monarch. Prince Adrian, however, prefers a simpler life. While the court buzzes with politics and complex matters of governance, Adrian often sneaks away to visit the people in the village below the palace. He enjoys the quiet joy of tending to his gardens, playing the lute, and offering help to the poor in his kingdom. He has a deep love for his people, but he lacks the ruthlessness needed to navigate the political world his father occupies. Prince Adrian's dilemma. Despite his happiness in this simple life, Adrian feels an emptiness within him, unsure of his true purpose. He desires to make a real difference in his people's lives but does not know how. Unlike his father, who governs with authority and power, Adrian believes that leadership should come from the heart, that kindness and compassion could foster a better kingdom. Yet this belief makes him feel disconnected from the royal court, where the discussions are dominated by the pursuit of wealth and power. The royal court and King Aldric's ideals. King Aldric, although an experienced and wise ruler, believes that a kingdom's strength lies in its wealth and military might. He dismisses Adrian's idealistic approach, often scolding him for his naivety. A prince must lead with strength, not with a soft heart, the king would often say. The kingdom must stand strong against its enemies. Wealth, power, and alliances, these are the true measures of a ruler's worth. The arrival of the mysterious stranger. One day, a weathered traveler arrives at the gates of Veloria, claiming to be a historian from a forgotten kingdom called Lyra. He brings with him an ancient scroll, which he presents to Adrian. The scroll, written in faded ink, speaks of a once prosperous kingdom, Lyra, which fell to ruin after its rulers became corrupt and selfish, obsessed with wealth and power. The traveler tells Adrian that Lyra's fall was caused by a curse that could one day reach Veloria if it continued down the same path. 2. The warning and Prince Adrian's response. The stranger's warning. The old man speaks to Adrian with urgency, urging him to change the course of Veloria before it's too late. Lyra's fall was not a simple tale of greed, the stranger explains. It was a lesson, a warning that kindness, compassion, and selflessness must be part of a ruler's heart. A kingdom built on wealth will always fall when the hearts of its people turn cold. Adrian's concern and King Aldric's dismissal. Adrian takes the stranger's words to heart, feeling a deep sense of foreboding. However, King Aldrich dismisses the warning, calling the tale of Lyra a myth. He tells Adrian to focus on more pressing matters, such as trade agreements with neighboring kingdoms and expanding Veloria's power. The old man is nothing more than a storyteller, the king declares. Do not waste your time with such fantasies. Adrian's growing restlessness. Despite his father's dismissal, Adrian cannot shake the feeling that the story is a warning meant for him. He spends sleepless nights in the royal library, poring over ancient texts about Lyra, searching for any clue that might explain its downfall. As the days pass, Adrian becomes more convinced that Lyra's fate could be Veloria's future unless he takes action. 3. The discovery of the map and the call to action. The ancient map. While exploring the dusty corners of the royal library, Adrian discovers an old, tattered map that seems to depict a path leading to the ruins of Lyra. The map is nearly illegible, but Adrian can make out a symbol, a key that could unlock the secrets of the lost kingdom. He feels an intense pull to this map, sensing that it holds the key to saving Veloria. With a mix of excitement and fear, Adrian decides to embark on a journey to the ruins, hoping to find a way to break the curse that threatens his kingdom. A secret departure. Knowing his father would forbid him to leave, Adrian decides to keep his journey a secret. He writes a letter to his father, explaining his decision, but leaves before it can be delivered. He dresses as a commoner and takes only a small group of loyal servants, including his trusted companion, Elena, who had been a servant in the royal palace for many years. Elena, wise beyond her years, knows of the old legend of Lyra and believes that Adrian's quest is not just about saving Veloria, but also about finding the deeper truth of leadership. ACT 2. The conflict and the struggle. 4. The challenges of the journey. The dangerous path. The group's journey through the mountains is treacherous. They face fierce storms, wild animals, and narrow, unstable paths. Adrian, despite his royal upbringing, proves himself to be an able leader, always encouraging his companions and sharing his food with those who are hungry. His kindness and generosity become his greatest strengths. He frequently stops to help those he meets on the road, whether they are travelers, farmers, or beggars. This act of humility, however, does not go unnoticed by the group of servants, who begin to see Adrian not as a prince, but as a true leader in his own right. A moment of doubt. At one point, the group comes to a particularly dangerous river. The bridge has been destroyed, and the only way across is to wade through the rushing waters. Adrian's companions hesitate, worried about their safety, but Adrian steps forward without fear. He says, "If we are to succeed, we must face our fears together. Trust me, and we will make it through." Elena's wisdom. Elena shares with Adrian the true story of Lyra. She tells him that the downfall of Lyra was not only due to greed but also because its leaders were disconnected from their people. The people were never given a chance to speak, Elena says. The rulers of Lyra failed to listen to their needs. Instead, they sought more power and wealth, forgetting the importance of kindness. They were blinded by their own arrogance. These words resonate with Adrian, who now feels more than ever that kindness is the way forward. 5. The ruins of Lyra. Finding Lyra's lost city. After days of traveling, Adrian and his group finally discover the ruins of Lyra, hidden deep in the mountains. The once great city is now a ghost town, overgrown with vines and trees. The grand palaces are reduced to rubble, and the streets are empty, save for a few stray animals. The air is thick with sorrow, and Adrian feels a deep sadness as he wanders through the ruins. He begins to understand that the curse of Lyra was not just a physical disaster but an emotional one, a loss of the people's trust in their rulers. The Temple of Lyra. At the center of the ruins, Adrian and his companions find the Temple of Lyra, where the kingdom's rulers used to worship. Inside the temple, Adrian finds the final clue to the curse, a magical artifact known as the Heartstone, said to hold the power to reverse the curse. But to unlock its power, Adrian must prove his worth. The Heartstone will only respond to acts of true kindness and selflessness. The final trial. The Heartstone's challenge. The Heartstone tests Adrian's heart. He must make a sacrifice, something that tests his deepest beliefs. The artifact demands that Adrian give up his title as prince and renounce his claim to the throne. It is only when Adrian willingly steps away from his royal birthright that the Heartstone activates, breaking the curse that has plagued Lyra and protecting Veloria from the same fate. The restoration of Lyra's legacy. The Heartstone glows brightly, and the ruins of Lyra begin to come back to life. Flowers bloom, and the sun shines brighter as the land is restored. The curse has been broken, not by Adrian's wealth or military might, but by his genuine kindness and his willingness to sacrifice everything for the good of others. ACT 3. Resolution and the New Kingdom. 7. Returning to Veloria. Adrian's return to Veloria. Adrian returns to Veloria, a changed man. He is no longer the naive prince who sought approval but a leader who understands the importance of compassion and humility. The kingdom's people greet him as a hero, not because of his actions as a prince but because of the kindness he has shown throughout his journey. King Aldric, once skeptical of his son's idealism, now sees that Adrian's heart is what truly makes him fit to lead. A new era for Veloria. With his father's blessing, Adrian becomes the new king of Veloria. His rule is not based on wealth or power but on kindness, understanding, and listening to the needs of his people. Under his leadership, Veloria prospers not just in terms of riches, but in the happiness and well-being of its people. 8. The moral of the story. Kindness restores what is lost. Adrian's story becomes a legendary tale, a beacon of hope and wisdom for future generations. The kingdom of Veloria flourishes under his rule, showing that true leadership comes not from power or wealth but from compassion, selflessness, and the courage to do what is right. The legacy of Lyra serves as a reminder to all that kindness and understanding are the most powerful tools a leader can possess.